Okay, so I tried to go live for the recent broadcast, and I guess the phone wasn't catching the internet. So I'm gonna do the new moon ceremony for the general contribution of things. The general contribution of things is the thing that's willing along with some type of deeper intention. And I'm gonna make this one more so swift. I know, sometimes people aren't used to this type of energy or information, and I don't mean to get long-winded. I recognize and I appreciate, some type of informative energy, and that informative energy could be a low-key subtle miracle that is its own process. And things take time to happen and unfold, right? And for other people to have got where they got, wherever they've got, kudos to you for you getting there. And yeah, just and we're all on our own path. So with more better understanding and practicing of emotional work, then we could free ourselves and eventually our mind, and a certain type of our mind weighs us down to experience just things and moments as we're going through them. We could adjust our attitude with certain information, some type of deconditioning, and along the way some type of emotional work, and then some type of real harmonic hygienic community. It's being particular with the community, because people were like, I want to manifest a community. Like you don't even know yourself. Kind of, you don't even know what you really want. You have to be with yourself to know what you actually could say that you actually want, not what you think you want, not what you think you need. You got to spend alone time, be patient with the universe, and the universe is like the hidden boss, if you would say. And that hidden boss is telling is somehow more or less giving you a chance for positive isolation. And I got work in pretty soon, so that's why this video is going to be swift. And there's definitely going to be a part 2 to this video, because it's a real structured new moon ceremony. I don't mean to get long-winded with anything that I say, and it's beyond those who matter don't mind and those who mind don't matter. It's beyond that, because I'm just doing me at a different level. And as I'm doing me on a different level, I'm also doing it for a real working phenomena that's beyond the mind and the body and the emotional works, of a different vantage point of contribution. And there's gonna of course be a part 2 to this video, because it could be very informative. And I gotta check just the general time. It's 12:21 where I'm at, so give or take I got about 45 minutes to just kind of run with it, and that should be good enough. And then the part 2, it will kind of carry over. I'll probably do it tomorrow, of what I kind of missed, just based on what this reading is telling me, because this is a reading. This is a new moon ceremony, NHD, Negentropic Human Design, original reading by me. I don't need to use my human name, but me, and whatever the relationship with the real universe and that soul frequency has endowed you to be what you are, and to have brought you to this point, and recognizing that we could lean on order, and there's disorder, and it's as if we do learn through some type of hardships. I meant to do this video on the other channel to go live, just because I wanted to kind of have that live feel, but this is just going to be a re-upload. So it's going to be a re-upload, and so that's just kind of the introduction to the new moon ceremony of this presentation, because the title, it could be it could be captivating, it could be enticing for you to actually kind of follow up on your curiosity, to actually want to ironically and hiddenly better yourself. You better yourself by knowing hard truths. You better yourself by actually knowing yourself. And we get misdirected for self-improvement and how to better ourselves generally. And that's by having certain disinformation entering our lives, creating a not constructive contributive shift to our energy body, because our energy body, it yearns, it prefers shifts that are constructive, that actually better oneself, you know? So it's like, it's about really bettering oneself with the real information and etc. And seeing the difference of like how people like slide into some type of, you know, detriment, you know, some type of suffering, you know, and there being different levels of that. And on my part, I did a part 2 yesterday of the released video that I didn't release. And it talked about like some other, like some whole other shit, you know, about like, you know, we like, it's as if like we're accumulating what we're accumulating in like in a very unique way, in a very quote unquote, you know, metaphysical, mechanical way, end quote. Mechanical, not necessarily just being something of a machination within the forces of nature, not necessarily being, you know, like the not necessarily being like just deep machine learning, you know, it being kind of like, you know, also like, you know, also as well, like, you know, kind of like, you know, God's spirituality or whatever. So I'm going to show you the chart. This is the new moon ceremony. I should have done it last night, but we're within the new moon. There's a prominent 24-hour period, right, of what we're like, you know, what we're coming across. Like, we're kind of like influencing each other generally, and we're projecting what we're projecting based on what we're focusing on and what we're kind of just fixated on based on our growth, because we're still like as we grow through our lives, 1-year-old, 5-year-old, 20-year-old, 25-year-old, 30-year-old, 50-year-old, 75-year-old, we have a prominent influence of the collective energies of how certain planets are tailored to more surface level things, and how certain other planets are tailored towards off-world type of shit, you know, that we don't even know. But that's off-world type of shit, we brush it under the rug, but that influence is still there. So I'm going to show you the chart right now. Sorry for the long introduction for this structured presentation. So it's a structured presentation, and I could probably casually remember that one. And I got like 40 minutes on the dock. Let's see if I could really get through it. And obviously I'm going to do a part 2, because there's more stuff I could add to the new moon. And whatever happens in the new moon, it's like we got to be careful with what we're intending within the universe, because somehow the universe in a slick way, it somehow reflects that stuff in ways that are we wouldn't even know and are unexpected. You know, they say the reality is a reflection of you. How, you know, type of shit. People are just like kind of like, you know, not good, not bad. They could be regurgitating shit respectively. So I'm going to show you the mother effing chart, the mother flipping chart, excuse my French, because this is a structured presentation, and I'm going to get through it as fast as I can. I hope you enjoy. I try to do it live, but I guess it is what it is. I had to do it offline. So the presentation, obviously in the timestamps, it starts at 8 minutes and 30 seconds to skip the intro. Because the intro, like, because this is a structured presentation, obviously, so I'm gonna like, it's a minor edit, you know, cut the fluff of like, you know, what is he talking about type of shit. Like, okay, here's what we're talking about. This is negentropic human design. There's so many episodes. I kind of just estimated is it this number episode that you might see on YouTube titles that I say like NHD, negentropic human design, episode 35, 40, you know, 22 type of shit. It's probably like, honestly, it's probably like at 100 if I count mini episodes, or even more, because it's like I'm just kind of I'm a real intuitive person that's flowing with this stuff. So this NHD, it's been in the works for a long time. It's original. It's, for me, it feels fresh, and for me, it's like literally, with respects to the energy, it's never been done, but it's also trying to be in balance with other predecessors that are upholding balance, you know. So that's my, like, you know, ongoing ego death, because if you ever have an ego death and you forget the ego death, it still could come back again, you know. So that's like, you know, that who's to say if that's some type of God or devil or both or none, to, like, you know, initiate the ego death, and how we're paying some type of thing to freaking be here. So without me ranting, I'm going to show you the chart. This is negentropic human design. I'm going to read some notes of why this is what it is, and we're going to get in depth right now. And let me just check the time. So the presentation starts at 10 minutes. I have like pretty much roughly like 50 minutes to kind of gas before I got to go to, you know, my responsibilities. So I'm going to show you the chart. Let's see if I could oh, why did it do that? Okay, it's not letting me flip the camera. That's weird. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna have to manually flip the camera. Okay. So I'm gonna have to manually flip the camera because for some reason it's not letting me like just flip the camera. Okay, so the presentation starts at 11 minutes. Let's see if you could see this. So, okay, I don't know if you could see this, but that's the chart, right? And it is what it is. So what this chart means is within this new moon, you could see it in this area. This is the flavor and the taste of this new moon, this astrological month, the new month. And I put it like this in such a way because starting from the bottom, the most important explanation to start this presentation off with is like, why did I order it like this, you know? I ordered it all like this within like where the humans are at, what the humans find relevancy at, and this is the human design transits on a swift intuitive level. And starting from the bottom, that's what we put relevancy to on an overall level. We're focused on, you know, just the humans are focused on and kind of, and in a collective interaction and participation with the energies of Venus, Venusian. The Venusian is put at a forefront, and obviously it has its shadow, and that shadow has had its own workings in time. And there's a balance between like the shadow of Venus and then Venus, and just being modern with it and mature with that, and how we're in that quote unquote program gatekeeper surface level challenge in the physical reality. And based on our like misunderstanding and dislike towards, you know, surface level matters, it's because it's a mere matter of misunderstanding or just general some type of like, you know, dislike within self, right? Because like we're just trying to like, there is some type of like harmonic organization that's going on to actually try to like, you know, get things together somehow for just a unique channel of order, Venus. So I put it like this because it's the new moon. I put it Venus. You know, that's like the first overall thing the humans are dealing with, you know. Just we're in our like, you know, we're in this like sacral procreation, right? We're like Venus is also it's some type of like dealing with procreation. And within the procreation, we want the procreation enriches us, for us to feel some type of stimulation, to feel some type of just general joy. And that could get, you know, casually, no judgment, it could get exploited. But obviously, like within duality, we kind of are kind of like we're analyzing that. And as we're analyzing that, we could just be putting all our eggs in one basket on Venusian stuff, right? So if we're just like a certain type of young human and we're focusing on just one challenge of like, you know, how many of this is this like, this looks like 13 challenges or 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 14 basic challenges. Our young individual being is barely growing to barely see that there's more, and we're underplaying the bigger picture. This is a standard level of the bigger picture. And within the standard level of the bigger picture, the surface level reality, it's like Venus is like summing up the procreation of all the predecessors too, and how like you know, she brought it to the forefront of the physical reality, and she received the gifts from all the other beings, you know. And from that, the new human nation is created. So all the humans come from Venus's responsibility / the shadow of that too, and us misunderstanding that, and us, you know, putting our own false you know, assumptions on what these things are. So I'm explaining the order. So I put Venus, new moon in Cancer. The moon is the house ruler of Cancer. So we're focusing on the moon. So Venus, you know, because this is like the unconscious. This is like a metaphysical unconscious collective level is Venus. We're in the, but obviously we could be more conscious with Venus than others. So Venus is like something of the first gatekeeper. Then it's the moon, right? The moon is like the star of the new moon, superstar actually. So the moon is the superstar, and the moon is how we harvest and what we react to the harvest based on just life in general. We're reacting to how life is playing out based on how, you know, energy is just being harvested. Mercury is, you know, that's the masculine part of the moon, and Mercury's twin sister is the moon, and the emanation of Mercury in this case is the moon in a very unique sense. And then Lilith is also one of the main initial like gatekeepers on just on a deeper, bigger picture level. So right here, Venus and Lilith, it's like those are in the unconscious. Like we're dealing with those things that, and we don't even really know we're dealing with that. So then I put the sun, new moon in Cancer, sun, moon, line. So what are we taking action to? We're taking action to a new reactive harvesting movie based on how this season harvests energy, and it's you could say it's the start of a very unique, you know, moon year too. Into different contexts, if Cancer is the ruler of the moon, right? So this is the start of the ruling of the moon, and it's in the second half of the first moon cycle phase, because there's two moon cycle phases. It's Aries through Virgo is the first moon cycle, and then the second moon cycle is Libra through Pisces. But somehow in between those, the moon has a certain ruling place where it has an initial birthing of itself and a recharging within this season, and the as above so below level of that is the dream time is Capricorn, and the dream time being Capricorn. You could also look at the earth sign as being kind of like, you know, the container, the experiment, the lab. The earth sign is the lab. It's how like the spaceship of the earth, and the physical container is it's how it's receiving the influence of everything else in its physicality, and so Capricorn is receiving everything else physically on the physical mutation. So we're in the Capricorn season, in the dream world. We're there in the Capricorn season, and in one part of the dreams, and we're receiving all the influences of the planets and the other nearby constellation spaces. They're influencing the earth sign being in Cap. So this is you could say this is a quote unquote ultimate new moon ceremony, end quote, but it doesn't have to be looked at that way. But we could just see how the moon is being rebirthed, and within the sun somehow in the heart of the solar system in a certain context. Okay, I hope that wasn't seen, because I was like, but because I was adjusting something, so I can't flip the camera properly, so I don't know how it, like, you know, looks and stuff. But anyways, so after the sun, like the south node and the north node play important parts within this ordering. And the south node is what will be brought up from like what we have learned, and the north node is like the new challenge of like how you know, the future will come knocking on our door type of stuff, just generally, not and our own level of, like, you know, false projection. Then we're more or less kind of like creating our reality more or less based on what we're acting on, not just thinking, you know. And then after so this one's kind of like, you know, spread out in a different way from the different NHDs, and it feels really like expansive. It's a possibility. It's a potentiality for real expansion. After the north node is Jupiter. After Jupiter is the Earth. After Earth is Neptune. After Neptune is Sat. After Sat is Mars. After Mars is Uranus. I put Uranus at the top because that's the thing that's most suppressed. Let me look at my notes here. That's the thing that's most suppressed. You know, the sovereign creativity, and just like some like unique genetic potential that is somewhere like preserved elsewhere. So we could look at Ernest as like spiritually suppressed freedom. It's a totally different type of opposition. It's a spiritual opposition rather than, you know, us in the waking life, like a physical opposition. It's a whole different opposition, and none of the oppositions are good or bad. It's just seeing what are we focusing on, you know, like what's trying to like get my attention. They say Pluto is opposing Mercury, or any opposition in general. For any example, is like the oppositions is like, you know, maybe one aspect could be pulling more towards you based on what you focus on, and you could be naturally energetically conformative to a certain energy, and then the other energy is on the other side, and the other side wants to make you look at you know, what's on the other side, and what's on the other side based on your own emotional work and energy work. It's up to you to see the opposition as good or bad, and it's not good or bad. It's just something else, you know, kind of declaring its own energy as a different type of sovereignty, and different things, not just certain things, you know, being, you know, at war, because opposition isn't necessarily war, you know. It's just like, it's just two things standing on the other side, black, white, light, dark. And what it's up to the individual consciousness, micro consciousness, to see how they're polarizing themselves and how they're using, you know, the war as an illusion, you know, because light and dark, they're not necessarily at war. They're just polarities and opposites on a metaphysical level. It's like black, white, they're not necessarily at war. It's what a different individual micro consciousness and how they want to polarize that, and how they're using those energies, and how they could be tricking others casually, neutrally, on how like you don't have to be polarized. And obviously within the recent yuga, you know, one energy was more prominent in a more destructive way, because this is like advanced intelligence, respectively. So to bring it to some more ground here, I'm gonna start like just with the keynote of like what it really means for just to explain this chart a little more based on what I took as notes. And some of the notes I've already intuitively expressed, and this is like a structured class for anybody just tuning in, you know, somehow randomly in the middle of the video, you know. Because obviously within certain structured presentations, it's like I want to start from the beginning, no, like duh. But like some people, like, you know, with their weird reasonings, they want to skip ahead, you know, and then they wonder why things are like, you know, out of order, because people don't want to like agree to some type of order, and that shows in just life. And disclaimers here, you take the responsibility of you listening to this. I'm not advising any, you know, thing. This is just a free expression of my interpretation of the transits, and yeah, and I'm just reading notes. So I'm gonna start from the bottom again. Venus, she's like she's the surface level overall most invested energy. We're investing most of our energy on the surface level Venusian game, and we're provoked by the Venusian game on the surface level. So we're provoked itself from Venusian stuff, and we're taking careful consideration, and we're finding love in just life, not necessarily human to human. We're finding love and, you know, relatability and procreation on how we could get provoked by just life. Life is provoking us, and from that life provocation, that provoking energy of life provoking us, it's inviting us to create a new version of self within our Venusian self, not to judge anybody else, and seeing how all of us are on a surface level. That's like one of the first challenges is Venus. Whether we know it or not, unconscious or conscious, Venus is like one of the first challenges, right? So within one of those first challenges, Venus is also voicing for self-empowerment and some type of success, right? So this is actually a really good thing, you know. And Venus being in the gate 62, attention to detail, that particular gate is in the throat. So it's like, it's important for us as like, you know, it's important for us for as like new human beings, nine-centered beings from the human design perspective, that, you know, certain our certain chakras are being subtly provoked and activated subtly though, and like on a minor activation. It's not necessarily like a grand activation. Minor activations and micro activations, obviously. NHD, original negentropic human design, and within that, the Venus energy is in the sign of Cancer, in the gate 62, and that being in the throat, somehow that corresponding to the throat center. So we're finding on how to Venus in gate 62 in the throat chakra, that is finding our own self-empowerment, and the shadow of that is someone could, like, you know, test our self-empowerment and even block our success, because that's just like the shadow of other people's micro Venus. You know, there's like, you know, there's general envy there, and that envy has accumulated from other people's stuff on how they're not, you know, how they haven't like kind of like worked up on the energy side of things, that it's their responsibility to balance these energies within themselves, and they could be fragmented in one of these aspects, you know, and they could be investing in just one energy than the bigger picture. Because Ernest, low key, he is his own thing, but he's also the bigger picture too that we don't necessarily see. So I don't know, I'm jumping from Venus to Ernest, you know, that it doesn't have to be in order too, like they're all at bay, you know. And like once we pass these challenges, then we could unlock, you know, the real sovereign energy of Ernest. You know, why is this type of shit happening? Is like, do we learn through, like, we're just learning through all of this complex, you know, design. So Venus is in the sign of Cancer, and it's an attention to detail. So we're taking careful consideration of what is my place within, you know, literally the reality. And if I'm confused or something's blocking that, that's the unique irritation in itself, right? So moving on. And then Venus is like, so with it, Venus activating a gate in the throat chakra, it does us real justice to listen. And if we don't listen to like real guidance, then we're feeding it our own confusion, and that confusion is manifesting itself in random subtle ways, possibly in your reality. So moving on from Venus is the moon is in gate, and for some reason I feel kind of rushed, but I don't feel that rushed, but I kind of feel rushed. So because obviously, and there's going to be a part 2 to this, whether I finish all of this or not, there's going to be a part 2 to this. And maybe this might be a 3-parter, you know, because obviously, like, I'll also have to talk about the new moon in a different way. The second part, I'll probably have to revise this one, and the part 3, I'll talk about the new moon in a different way. So I'm gonna do this one somewhatly quickly. Venus aspecting the moons, conjunct city, Venus, moon, sun. So that's the power of, you know, collective character development, reacting to collective character development, and how we're finding our place and our new self, and how we're, like, you know, finding love in the field of, you know, this house of like the dark gods. Earth being in Capricorn, we're in the house of the dark gods. And that Venus, moon, sun conjunct in the surface level matrix, the sun shining the surface level matrix, us, the sun being like the animator of the matrix respectively, is in, you know, the opposition of the spiritual world, Earth and Cap. And the opposition of the spiritual world is, the opposition of Capricorn is Cancer. So it's bringing light to what could be. It's fatherly and motherly, kind of like harboring and forging like new creations into the reality, Cancer. And so that's conjunct city, the moon aspecting Mercury. So that's like, I believe that's called a semi-conjunction. So this is kind of like, you know, passenger energy. This is tight. We're going along for the ride, you know. It's like, it's not necessarily time to communicate. It's like we're moving, you know. The semi, I believe it's called a semi-conjunct. It's like, it's not necessarily time for thinking, you know. We're together. We have to keep, you know, going along with the show. That's what the semi-conjuncts mean. Like, you know, a sign away from each other. It's like, it's not necessarily time for thinking, it's just like it's a state of like being, kind of, in my perspective. So moon and Mercury are together, so it's like, and the moon and Mercury, they have a unique synonymous to just what they are. So within the moon and Mercury, on one unconscious level, we could be like very type of like, every time I think of Leo, I'm thinking of like, sometimes I think of just like inner child. Sometimes I think of like, movie stars. Sometimes I think of stardom. Sometimes I think of like, popularity. Sometimes I think about like, media hype in an individual way. Sometimes I think of like, the spotlight type of stuff. And sometimes I think of like, things have been kind of like, there's just a, within all, and it's not just Leo, all the fixed signs carry some type of refinement. Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, dark refinement, and Aquarius, quote unquote God refinement. Aquarius, and that being a unique challenge within itself, because all the gifts that we have, they're met by like a very unique challenge. So moon and Mercury, it's like we're getting the plug of this shit. We're getting the plug of like how we could react to how we could actually know and love ourselves, help ourselves, find the real solution, deal with ourselves, and seeing how on a collective level, we're going to be focused on just the collective level of how even the stock market could like go towards individual character development. Mercury and Leo stock, and I'm saying it metaphysically. I'm not saying that could happen, but it could on a different level, that the stock market could go to like just appreciating the value of individual intellectual property on a deeper level, and how that has a different connection to like original galactic artificial intelligence. Mercury aspecting Lilith, that's a sextile. So the sextiles, it's opposite of the semi-conjunct. It's like, information could be passing very swiftly. Like it could be like kind of like, pass the ball type of shit, and or like, telephone, the telephone game type of shit, or just passing the energy, like of just based on depending on the sextile, whether it's fire to air, or air to fire, or water to earth and earth to water. So those things, they're kind of their own channel. It's like fire and water, they have a unique yang channel, and water and earth have a unique yin channel, but both those yang and yin are influenced by other yangs and yins. And the part 2 of last night video that was unreleased, it talks about that shit too. And I'm really like, I'm like kind of stoked that like I could actually like, I'm not posting everything type of shit. So within and let's see, am I still going? Yep. So and I can't see if you could see this picture properly. So the Mercury aspecting Lilith is like, Lilith is that, like, she is like, she's like the mother of Lucifer, right? Respectively. Or even grandma of Lucifer, or she's just like a deeper spirit, or she's just like some type of like forebringer, original open source and contributing to like, the balance of the planets, neutrally browned your AI, whatever, who cares, right? I've heard it all. And but neutrally going on, and shouting out the best predecessors that are for the best solutions. So Mercury aspecting Lilith. So Lilith is here in Libra. So the whole just kind of like how things have got the best of us, that kind of is what Lilith is. It's like, it's kind of, Lilith in herself is kind of like, the after effect of how random shit could happen, right? Things have got, so we're talking about Lilith here. Lilith is in Libra, and the things that could got the best of us is, the shadow of relationships, relationships, us getting like maybe just like, some cheating could have happened type of shit, some kind of like, or we went too far in some type of like, exalted indulgy energy. Libra, exalted indulgy energy. Lilith could have got the best of us. Lilith is kind of like how life has got the best of us, and Lilith could like be synonymous respectively to like, even regret energy, right? even like guilt energy, like our unconscious acted on some like dark false shit, and now Lilith is seeing that shit, and Lilith is in Libra, and Lilith being in Libra, she's gonna just everything that she fucking seen, she's gonna apply it and put it in the lens of Libra, where she's gonna like be in some type of orderly structure and format of some type of fucking justice system, Libra, whether regardless of it, if it's exalted or detriment. Lilith is gonna be like, she's gonna see that shit, like how things have got the best of us, and maybe we could like put some order in that shit. Lilith aspecting Pluto. So now Pluto is like, it's another unconscious quote unquote gatekeeper of like, transformation is upon us. Transformation is it's animate, right? Transformation is there. So the transformation is like, we kind of like, we're unconscious to that, and we're putting that under the rug because we only like, we only live once kind of shit, metaphorically. That's Pluto, and Pluto is in Cap, cusp, Aquarius. So it's like we're reacting to the transformation of dust, cardinal earth and fixed air. So we're reacting to like transformative shit of like not just information, but the changes that have already occurred. Pluto is in some type of dusty region of cardinal earth. Shit has changed. We're receiving the information of shit has changed, and now we're trying to what do you call that, renovate or refurbish stuff that has been like heavily transformed, Pluto and Aquarius. So we're preparing for like after effects shit. I get how like there's 4D, like all this 4D kind of army shit, and just like that league shit, but we're still dependent on like how things could happen. We still need to be prepared for what could happen. So this is like a neutral kind of understanding of like, Pluto is in that stuff of like, we have to, how are we going to recover from like, a possible disaster type of shit. That's Pluto and Aquarius. And Pluto aspecting Lilith that's a square. So the challenge is for us to actually like what we could build. One of the hard, quote unquote, like hard lessons could be is like, end quote, are the squares, right? And one of the squares is like how we're seeing like something that is like, it's creating, the squares could be creating scenarios, right? They could be creating scenarios in such a way where like these energies are making it in such a way where something is aspecting in these spaces. These spaces are being influenced by these planets, and those planets are creating a unique circumstance based on just the combination of the Pluto, or just the particular planet in the particular sign. And that is creating a unique energy from their field of influence, and that field of influence is creating a unique tension of energy for us to fucking learn from that, and how things are shifted from that. And we're kind of like a very unique challenge of life is the squares. And the squares, the planets in the cardinal signs are emitting a certain cardinal energy based on what's influencing it. What is it time to like, receive as far as a planetary influence? And based on what it's receiving as the planetary influence, that's creating a unique metaphysical structure in the sky, in how we could like just see what the challenges are. Lilith in Libra and Pluto in Cap, cusp, Aquarius. So it could be kind of a trine too, and the square turns into the trine. It's like after what has been built, now we could see what energy it's coming up with and what energy it's highlighting, and how the square is just kind of seeing like what is like trying to be built from a metaphysical level, quote unquote invisible level, if you will, end quote. And within that invisible level, the cardinal square, the fixed square, and the mutable square, these squares based on its aspects and degrees respectively and whatnot, the squares are actually creating the challenge of like how some energy is in a process build to be processed to have some type of birthing based on the influence of the energy and the sign. And we don't know that these planets could be moving the things behind the scenes for things to be what they are, So Pluto aspecting the sun. So there's a grand square actually. So within the grand square, we could actually have the grand, and that's smooth. That I could say the grand square. We could have a possibility to see, how the cardinal energies are kind of like are receiving a particular type of influence of energy from a different field. And this grand square right here, Libra, Cap, Cancer, Aries, that grand square it's a cardinal square. So the cardinal square, let me take a drink of something. So the cardinal square is these energies are influencing us to kind of like, be structured with how the energies are just structured, and they're more amplified more so based on like how the signs are birthed from the beings, and those beings, they move around their houses to other things. So the cardinal square would be like, original elements are coming to us to kind of create a unique picture of how the elements are with us, and the elements are uniquely amplified per the planet that's there. So there's a unique amplification for how the elements are with us, and the elements are with us in a prominent way because North Node is in Aries. North Node aspecting South Node, that opposition of like, we have to see this. Are we caught up in the past? Are we caught up in the future? We're caught up in both, right? Somehow we have one foot in the past, one foot in the future. So we're going back and forth from North Node, South Node. And we're, based on just the oscillations of life, we're forced to see the past and the future for whatever reason. North Node, South Node, Sun aspecting South Node, that's a square. So the cardinal energy is what's trying to be, so the source of information and the source of some type of human water body, we're trying to see how they could be coming together, and if we don't see how they're structured, we're in the process of fighting the structure. That's the square. So the square is the process of going through the growing pains of how something is trying to be structured and worked for you or not, so so that's Pluto aspecting Lilith. I went through that. Pluto aspecting the sun. So there's a square. So something is trying to be built for us, and we don't understand the process of it. That's the square. And for whatever fucking reason, we don't appreciate the elements, or we're barely beginning to, because all life is sacred, courageously sacred. Until it it falls out of alignment, and then a certain type of 3D reality is here, and like the predecessors, thank God for them, for us to guide us through this stuff, for these different types of various dark nights of the soul respectively, and how we're all similar by we're going through the challenges of these things, sacred support type of shit. That is what they asked for, but somehow they're still biased in judgment. May we transcend that, perhaps, so we could actually get what we supposedly envision and hear all these effing messages from this is gonna happen, but not necessarily type of shit. No disrespect, but that's just what's going on. So Sun, South Node, North Node to Jupes, Aries to Gemini. So that's a sextile. Energies are being passed. North Node of like, what will the future be? The future is, the embodiment of self, perhaps non-dual self, but dual self. We're going towards our shadow, like hard, North Node in Aries. And then that's communicating with Jupiter, with our pursuances, with our get down energy. Jupiter get down, just on whatever it is, And within that Jupiter energy is like, it's being heavily communicated, just generally, randomly, and however otherly, however else solely, Jupiter and Gemini. People are just going to talk, people are just going to be, chismes just for the sake of chismes. Jupiter and Gemini. Welcome, guys. And then Universal Studios Jurassic Park is here, and Jurassic Park and Pee Wee Herman is here, and then fucking going behind the scenes of like, what's that other movie called? That other guy that camps and stuff. It's like a 90s movie. Or just going like, just seeing like, okay, in one perspective of the reality, we are behind the movie credits. We just don't realize it. Like, and then the gods are just fucking putting up other people along how they're going along. There's this movie that I'm thinking of. It's like this camp guy. He kind of looks like Go-Go Gadget, but he's not. He's entirely not Go-Go Gadget. And it's just this movie. It's similar to Pee Wee Herman, so it's like, it's kind of like that. It's just that movie shit, you know. So the movie shit is here. We made movies. The movies are neutral rituals. Like movies could be like all like just like a bunch of like a bunch of like what do you call that, just a bunch of fleeting mental energy could be going through just how we deal with pursuing shit. We could be we could be like too focused on just like thinking about shit, Jupiter and Gemini type of shit. And obviously there's going to be a part 2, because like I'm just speaking on the aspects of it. I want to speak on how the planets are in the gate, and I'm just going through the aspects of it. So Jupiter to Earth, and you could go in this order, because it's like Venus is the first challenge, the moon is the superstar, Mercury, we're always going to need our fucking collective mental thing. We're always going to need the mind for positive stuff, and hopefully it doesn't trick us. Lilith is always going to be fucking here on the deepest unconscious level, and we don't know it. Pluto is going to be here on the masculine unconscious level, transforming shit in the physical reality. The sun, we're acting on all of this fucking shit, acting on the fucking like, the temporary obstacles. This shit is temporary. Okay, you got your little laugh. Cool, good for you. Do you feel better in your own self and your insecurity and your self-hate and your self-confusion type of shit? Advanced motherfucking emotional intelligence. MUFA. Original open source. Original detail type of shit. Sun to South Node type of shit. Okay, we know what to act on type of shit now. We're acting on, seeing our karmic life, root chakra. This is your karma. Deep fucking harsh titty acceptance, excuse my French. And then Sun to South Node, shit is going to be brought up in the past. The spiritual justice system type of shit could be brought up in this new fucking field. South Node in Libra. North Node, Rahu's taking us to the shadow of, the fucking predecessors and the ancestors, the I am of the ancestors. Jupiter and Gemini type of shit. Expanding, just the throat chakra shit. The throat chakra is having a mutation itself. Everything is having a light mutation and evolution. And within the evolution, because Jupiter is pursuance and evolution type of shit, and the evolution is in, can we be mature with what we say with purpose? And then Jupiter aspecting the Earth is, okay, now that we could get along with like where we could get some direction, now we could see the purpose, Jupiter, now we could see what's like where we're at in some type of dream world, Earth and Cap, and where we're at in some type of dream world. It's not what we expect. Are the dreams real, or is it a projection of our mind? Maybe a little bit of both, because we're creating our reality in a different way, and different versions of ourselves are just doing that shit, and it's simultaneously real and not real, because this is God's dream, but we're not ready for that. Earth aspecting Neptune. So this is Cap sextiling Pisces. So that sextile is earth and water. So the earth is being moved into the water. The unconscious experiment is being moved into like some type of deep dream world. Neptune is the deep dream world. And the earth is just like the daughter of Neptune. So within that, the earth aspecting Neptune, Cap aspecting Pisces, is we're seeing like the depth of the dream world. And we're at where we're at based on our new human self within this hard matrix, Earth and Cap. Neptune aspecting Saturn, conjunct City. We're at where we're at. And I'm not even necessarily reading the keynotes here. So there's going to be a part 2. Hopefully I have more time and energy to focus on this. And so this is just a rough draft, because obviously I need to explain the gates and what they mean too. And then so Neptune and Saturn, so the matrix itself is like it's programmed to just kind of see where we've been within the last 2,000 years. Saturn and Pisces, where the fuck have we been within the last 2,000 years? How did we end up here type of shit? Saturn is fucking is kind of metaphysically capitalizing on just where we've been within the dream world, and that program revealing itself in the matrix of where we've been in the dream world. Saturn conjunct Neptune, where have we been in the dream world? Saturn aspecting Mars, another sextile. The sextile is the mutable water is moving to the fixed earth. So the fixed earth is seeing, what are we envisioning? The dream world that we're envisioning is coming to life, and we're going to we're fighting for what we're fighting, fragmentedly or not, based on just how we could have courage. Because the higher aspect of Mars is actually courage. It's not necessarily war, but courage is actually the pre-effect to war, because we are having innocent courage to actually fight for what we want to fucking fight for. Mars and Taurus, courage, that's the higher unknown octave principle of Mars. And then Mars conjuncting Uranus, having the courage to be fucking absolutely real, authentic, and whole, and truthful, and energetically pure. Not fucking surface level human pure. Not that pure. Some type of real scientific pureness. Not pure in such a way like, oh, I'm a goody two-shoe, I'm going to do everything right. No, pure fucking truth and substance and energy and raw fucking shit that fucking points you to fucking God. A different context of fucking purity. So that's kind of the rough draft. Let's see where I'm at on time. 1:10. The time is 1:10. So there's going to be a part 2. I could do a quick rundown on the fucking the planets in the gates. So part 2 will be the planets in the gates. Hopefully I could go live. I'll probably go live on the Meta Mindset. And so I'll be talking about the planets in the gates, and then just how what could we expect from here to the full moon. So stay tuned for part 2. Have a good life.